Well, welcome, fine folks, back with another episode of the Blerd Dad Podcast, a space where we like to have unfiltered conversations and nerd out about fatherhood. Man, and I'm excited to be back with y'all again. Doing this again, man. This is the 43rd episode. 43 times we've had amazing discussions with people from all walks of life, and we've gotten to this parenting thing, this fatherhood thing, and it's been great. I've really been enjoying it. I've really gotten some good insight, and I hope you're getting some good insight too. So if you are, please like, follow, share, subscribe, do all those things that you do on social media to let us know that you love us, show us the love, and make it so that we can keep doing this thing, because we're trying to grow it. We're trying to have more people on. We're trying to talk to more people. We're trying to do more things and bring you the information that you need to raise these chillins up right. Okay. One of the things that we have that helps us do that are sponsors. So if you need us to do some ad reads for you, we can do that. And they will go like follows. Hey, check out theymademewearit. I'm sorry. They may see. Okay. All right. Time out. Sorry. Pause. Reverse. I know if you want us to do your ad read, I'm going to do it right. This is just a test run, but theymademewearit is the sponsor for this week. They are amazing. It's a father. Okay. I'm flustered. I don't know what is going on. I just asked for sponsors and now I'm flubbing every line. Maybe I shouldn't even bring that up. You know what? I didn't even flub it. Don't even worry about it. Listen, theymademewearit. They're amazing. They will have your pet outfitted in the latest fashions. It's a husband and wife team, and they are on a mission to get your pet outfitted in the latest styles. I'm telling you, if you need custom jammies, you need a designer gown, you need a Halloween costume, you need a Christmas something or other, attire, they got it for you. They got charms, they got bracelets, they got necklaces. They even have eye patches. Did you know they have eye patches? You get an eye patch for your animal. If it's got one eye, if it needs like a little hook or something, you could get it there. As a matter of fact, they might start outfitting super pets. You know what I mean? So if you have a dog that has superhero abilities, they need like a costume that is flame retardant, go ahead and check out theymademewearit. They're amazing. They outfit everybody and their pets. So check them out. They're incredible. I can't say enough about them. They are very, very kind. And as such, they like to donate some of their proceeds to Hope for Paws, which is an animal rescue organization that helps to get these pets off the mean streets. And if they have villainous ways, they turn them away from the villainous ways. So check out theymademewearit. Use code word blerd for 15% off checkout, and you will not be disappointed. See, that's an example of an ad read. That's amazing. I throw some stuff in there. I make it fun for everybody. And guess what? Then people all of a sudden, they want to come out and talk to you. I'll tell you what, theymademewearit. They have seen 100% increase in their sales because we read their ads. And I just want y'all to know we could do the same for you. So holler at us. We will read your ads. Theymademewearit. They get your pet outfitted in the latest fashions. And there you go. There you have it. All right. Enough of that. We paid the bills, and now it's time to get down to the nitty gritty, talk about what we wanted to talk about today, which is entrepreneurship, raising these kids, tech, all these type of things. And we got a great, amazing guest to do that with. His name is Daricus Releford. He's worked at Google as a program coordinator. Previously, he co-founded a 7-figure gifting company, and currently he's working at, I believe, he's the CEO of StoreCash. He attended Stanford University. He has co-founded all these businesses. He strategized and done nationwide marketing campaigns. He's been on Steve Harvey talking about it, and he actually has a lot of history with my dad. So you know what I mean? We come from the same cloth. We've had some of the same parenting or whatever. So I'm very excited to bring on to the show Daricus. Daricus, what is going on, bro?
Hey, not much, man. Not much. It's good to be here.
Yeah. I hope you like that intro. Sometimes it's long. I get a little long in the tooth, but I like telling the people about, what's going on with theymademewearit. You know what I mean? You can never have enough sponsorships going on and people reading ad reads. Now I will say this, just to let you know, if you need me to do an ad read for you, I can do exactly as the text say, but I can also ad lib if you need me to.
It's always better to add something in because then it starts looking too punchliney. So
Right. Or it sounds too corporate. You know what I mean? If you just get the ad thing from the company or whatever. But man, it's super dope to have you here speaking on the Blerd Dad podcast. I know that you are a new father, similar to me. I don't know if you were swimming though when you first had the baby, like because it's like you have it and then they just send you home with it, and you're just like, and now there's a kid here like that. I gotta make sure it stays alive. Wow, this is wild. How's it been for you, the entry into fatherhood?
man, it's so. I'm very logical, right? And I think logically about like everything. And I'm like, I can't really control this new human that's going to pop up, right? And I can't tell this human exactly what to do because they're going to do what they want to do, right? So I'm like, at first, I'm gonna be quite honest. My first thoughts was, what is my return on investment? And I didn't see I saw no return on investment. So I said, well, I do want to have this experience, in my life, right? So, man, since she's come into this world, it's completely different. Like
Yeah,
the logic is out the window, right? Like she's just, the joy she brings is worth the little bit of money I've spent it's a completely different experience. You can't explain it. And I would always see a lot of these parents, they would be like, oh, I love my kid, it's great, I wouldn't change it for the world. I'm like, yeah, whatever.
right.
I get it now. I get it. So it's been amazing.
You know what's interesting that you say that, because it's like the return on investment is intangible. Once you have the child, for most people, I'm guessing, it's like there's a return that you can't quantify in like dollars, or you can't quantify it in things. You can just quantify it in the feeling that you get and the feeling of fulfillment when they like do something new, or you teach them how to do, like I taught him how to drink out of a straw, and it's like that's amazing, like there's a feeling that you get from that. But it is funny because you do think about like what the what the return on investment is on this kid. You're like, nah, man, this is like sunk cost right here. It's just going in. There's nothing coming back. But there definitely is a feeling that you get back that's way more intrinsic than like money. And it helped, and for me it just helped me put those things into perspective. Like when I first had my son, I was going for the comedy thing mad hard, like I was out every night doing it, and everything was like focused on what's the next step, how can I get better, how can I do those things. And you start thinking about it like, oh, this kid, he's going to give me like more material, whatever. And it's almost like overnight, the drive that I have in that is still there, but it shifts. And this other entity, this other person is there that is your driving force. And now it's like, I want to be successful in this thing to show him how to be successful in things, or to, give like hand off something to them, or I don't know. It's interesting how it changes that your mindset, or it should change your mindset. I feel like it's had that change in you, and it's had that change in me. Some people just don't care about their kids, and it's like, wow, I don't understand how you could do that. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's just interesting that you say that.
It changes priorities, right?
Yeah.
Like, before this, I'm like, oh, I got to do this, I got to do this, I got to do that, and I'm still doing those things, right? But like, if they don't pan out the way I need them to, like, hey, my family's okay, my wife is fine, like my kids are good, or my kid, but my kid's good, right? My wife's fine. Like that seems more important than these goals. Because at the end of the day, you can only make so much money, right? You can only do so many things. And when you die, it's, it means nothing, right? So the relationships, it seems like, matters the most with good people, right? So it's been changing. I've been changing. I don't know if I like it.
It is true, man. And what's also funny is I don't know about you, but you like you have different tastes and things that you like, and all of a sudden it's those things are different. Like especially with the music or the things that you're watching, and you would never find me bumping some Blues Clues or some some children say, and now that's like, those are my jams. You know what I mean? I'm like, I watch Blippi and I'm like, I'm an excavator, just getting all into it. And I'm like, yeah, this song bumps. Yeah, this is dope. I don't know. Have you seen that change it yourself?
So the TV, I'm sure if I turn it on to some kid, something with kids on it, I'm sure. And then she got her TV in there, kids stuff playing all over the house. I don't know what the heck. Like, yeah, you can't see my floor, but there's kid stuff all over it. Yeah. So at first, my wife, her parents, they're like, I said, no kid's gonna have the main TV in my house. I'm gonna have TV. Well, yeah, she has the main TV now. So
yeah, right.
a lot of things have changed.
Listen, I have a big king bed. It's comfortable. It's a Tempur-Pedic, and it's a king size bed. I'm like, yeah, this is my bed. And then, of course, the girlfriend turned to the wife or whatever, and then she takes over half the bed. And I'm like, all right, that's fine. Still a very big bed. You know what I mean? We just spread out. And now he's in there, and he's like, sleeping with us, and I'm like, man, I got this big king size bed and I sleep on the area that is like a twin, and I'm like hanging off the side, and I'm just like, it's the most happy I've been giving up space or giving up that peace of mind or whatever, which is so wild to me.
Weird, right? Because you have less than what you've had before, right? Like less bedroom at least.
Yeah.
It's you go to sleep happy.
Yeah, so, you do go to sleep happy. But it brings up an interesting point, because you were talking about the TV and you're talking about handing that off to her. How do you handle her entry into the tech world? I know you're working in the tech world. You work with Facebook, work with Apple, work with Google and whatnot. How have you handled her entry into tech and watching like media and whatnot? Because I have some thoughts on it, and we're trying to navigate that space, because he's starting to learn the iPad. He's starting to want to watch things on TV or whatever. How do y'all navigate that?
So we only allow her to, so we cut down TV time, and TV time is iPad time. She only can watch things that we download, and she also can't maneuver the iPad much anyway. I mean, she knows how to press play and pause, but that's about it.
Right.
But we can only use what we kind of download, because we just put everything on airplane mode. And I mean, besides that, I want her to be tech savvy, but I also want to make sure that I have, I can see everything she's doing on her tech. Right. So there are apps out there and a few other things, but right now, there's just videos, and she only can watch them like at certain times of the day and things like that. Because I mean, I want her to be as active as possible, right? Like, she likes to go out on the patio and likes to go, out on the back deck and like do things, So I want to keep that up, but I don't want her not to know technology, right? It changes, like even the whole house is all the lights, switches, the thermostats, the door. Like she has her little fingerprint sensor on the door now. Like those things, I'm happy about her knowing, but I want to do it in a responsible way. So like she needs to know technology, because like I've always been a tech guy. So like my even high school room, you can even ask Glenn.
Yeah.
It was all teched out, right? I had a projector in my room before everybody, like a surround sound, all that other stuff. So like I've always been kind of like this. So I knew my house was going to be like this, and I want her to understand it. I want her to do basic code, because I feel like our world is moving into that, and you need to know that in order to survive in this new day and age. But as of right now, definitely until she gets at least 10, like everything on her device will have control over. We'll be able to see, and I'll almost be able to have a little video on my phone where I can see what she's doing.
Oh wow! Listen, if you have apps that do that type of thing, let us know, because we've gone on there, and it's interesting that you said airplane mode and only things that you download, because we did go and allowed him to watch the YouTube things that we wanted, and there's some great programming out there. Miss Rachel is amazing. I don't know if you all have seen Miss Rachel. She's amazing. She does like songs, and I feel like his language ability is really helped by Miss Rachel and the content that she puts out there. Also, like Gracie's Corner is another one. You got to listen to Gracie's Corner. It's all the children's songs and whatnot. We featured them on here before. Actually, I might have to reach out to the people who
you featured Gracie's Corner.
No, well, we talked about it. So we talked about it. We brought it up and we showed it. And we got to send out a message to. By the way, Gracie's Corner, if you're listening to us, we'd love to talk to you on the Blerd Dad Podcast. Talk about what you are creating, because you have helped our kids become very, very knowledgeable very, very quickly. But with that said, so we put those things on there, but somehow he finds his way to these other videos that are, it's like some Korean video where they're eating Cheetos and saying yum 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 yum, and we're like, how? Like we felt like we blocked it, but they create an account and then they create another account, so you block one and then it still pops up again. We block Coco Melon, but then it shows up on like a different account that's not named Coco Melon, so it's like a losing battle. I feel like maybe the airplane mode thing might be something that we have to institute.
Yeah, I mean, well, we've instituted airplane mode. Do you have YouTube Kids?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So then he found his way, because it's an age period,
right?
Where they can't find their way out of YouTube Kids, and then they can figure out how to get out of YouTube Kids, right?
Right.
So, I would definitely do the airplane mode and download some stuff and just
listen. When you take those training wheels off, all of a sudden he's like, it's not that they're bad, but it's not like it's bad. It's like mindless content, though. It's like red color balloon, and then it pops the balloon, and then it repeats that just over and over and over again. And you know what I mean? Like, yeah, maybe he's learning colors or whatever, but I still feel like, all right, this is like kind of popcorn candy-ish material that is like maybe dulling down your brain. I really like the period when we were in with Miss Rachel and everything, and he goes into that, but if we leave him alone with it, he'll start navigating off and find these other, and we're like, how did you get to this again? We blocked this. How did you get here again?
Yeah, Miss Rachel, man, she like, and I don't know if she, like, I think my daughter is like reincarnated or something, man. We go to hotel rooms and she picks up the phone and puts it up to her ear and starts talking. I'm like no
who?
one
Right
with the old phone, the old style phone, so I don't know if she's doing that on Miss Rachel or whatever, but like Miss Rachel has helped her in many ways and know how to talk, just basics, and that's another thing too, because we're both stay at home, like parents. I mean, I'm staying home, but I'm also gone a lot. Well, traveling a lot. Yeah. So I try to bring them with me when I can, but because we're staying home and we have meetings and stuff that we need to do, like she needs to go into her room and do other things, and like we normally turn on Miss Rachel, so she's at least learning something.
Right.
So we're also, I know a lot of parents are like no TV, but I think that she actually is developing better with television. Like if she's watching the right things, right? Like
right.
Know some Spanish words, because there's another Spanish, channel that we put on, and it says, 1, 2, 3, and different things like that. So, I think if you use it in a, educational way, I think it's okay. I think it, because either they're gonna be watching Miss Rachel or they're gonna be looking at you.
Yeah, right. And it's like, what about, and you don't want to do that, because if he's doing that, then he's learning curse words and all types of different things or whatever. And it's I'm glad that he has the Miss Rachel, because he comes up and he starts saying things that we didn't know. Like the other day, yesterday. I have him in the gym, because I have him working out and whatever, or I'm doing a little workout and then he grabs the weights and he, lifts or whatever. But we have like these bands and he starts like putting these bands on and looking in the mirror. And he's like, ooh, colorful outfit. I'm like, where did you learn that? Where did you learn to do? And then he like, I guess it's performative. So he looks at me laughing at it, and then he's like, "Oh yeah, this is funny. All right, I'm gonna do it a little bit more." And he starts, like hamming it up more. So I definitely feel like he's rubbed off there. But it is great, the things that they learn from the different media that they're watching, and I think it's parenting. You know what I mean? I think that's what it all boils down to. So it's like, whether you have them watching iPad or TV or whatever, like, are you reinforcing and instilling the things that they're watching and helping them grow? Because if you could have them watch TV and watch all the informational stuff, but if you don't do anything with that, reinforce it, then where does that information go? They still don't have any reference for it. So I think it's all parenting, in my opinion. And if you don't have them watch anything, then you got to do it, which is still parenting. It all is the same thing,
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, when we're both in meetings, like, that's the time where, but like, we try our best to like be with her most of the time. But it's one thing I will be, I really wanted to do, because I had watched, Blindside. I'm sure everybody's seen it, right?
Yeah.
And and thank goodness to your father, for being in our lives and teach us and directing us, but as you're kind of like going through this world, you start watching fathers and you want to see like different types. And like, you saw I saw Blindside, and I saw the dad, and the dad was seemed very successful, but still able to be in their kid's life, like every day, able to like go to all the events and different things like that. And I was like, that's what I want. So that's kind of what directed me to tech, because I was like, oh, I could probably work from home a few days, and then after COVID, like, it was a thing. Home, right? But like, being able to kind of see that, and seeing that it's a possibility, that was one of my big things I wanted to do when I had a kid. I wanted to, at least until she's 3, like, try to be there every single day. If she needs me, she can always come talk to me and things like that. We've gotten halfway there, so hopefully I'll get the other half. But you never know how life works out, right? But
for sure.
It's been good, being able to like be there with her every single day and try to watch her develop every single day. And they change, man, so much,
so fast. It's also been interesting seeing you all grow from where you started out doing the tea berries thing, and then growing that, and then getting a store, and basically having that model set for your child. So when they come up, they're going to be like, wow, dad like started all these businesses, and he moved off and he did the other businesses, and now you're growing and you have StoreCash, and you're meeting in all these different countries or whatever, and you have this like real kind of go-getter entrepreneurial spirit that you're passing down. And if nothing else, she'll see that, you know what I mean, and hopefully gravitate towards it and work towards it. I wish financially I was doing as well as you all are doing in terms of like showcasing that, but I feel like artistically I'm showing him a lot of like what dad is doing. I have a body of work out there. It's like, oh, okay, dad's out there performing and he's doing XYZ. I just like that, being able to pass down those traits, or that idea that dad can create something. Like, this is what dad has brought to market or brought to the world or whatever. And this is what he does with his time when he's away from us. You know what I mean? Like, you're building things and the app in the finance world or whatever. So where'd you get that entrepreneurial spirit? And is that something that you're trying to impart on your child?
Well, I will also say this. Everything's got its pros and cons.
Yeah.
So I remember when, I was like, and for one, I love what I do. I'm so thankful and grateful, but it has its pros and cons, right? Like, whenever you're, having to deal with an investor, or, having to manage a team and having to do this, it's stressful, but, I do want her to see that. I want her to also see, and this is mostly like for, the the minority community. I want her to see both parents like together and to work together, even when things aren't, great. They're still trying to find a way, and they're working together because and I know sometimes it's inevitable, right? But like, we need to build more families, in communities, right? And if that's one thing that I can, hopefully portray to people, like that's because it's hard out here. It's hard out here, and there's, when, I don't know how like people are doing it single. I have no clue. It wouldn't. Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't even make sense to me because the amount of things that you need to do, and then you also need to attend to your child, and then you also need to like. It's just too much, and I think that we, sometimes it's like, oh well, I'll pay 100%, and this and that, but like 50% is fine, right? Like because you got the other. If you're making 5,000 a month, you got 2,500, that you can now spend on things that you want to spend on. And I think we need to change the narrative in our community as much as possible, to like build together. So like we can build together because our kids are at a better statistical advantage, like together. So that's one big thing I really want her to take away. Like, because, and like I told, my wife, I said, I don't care if her husband wants to be a truck driver. If he's happy being a damn truck driver and he loves his job and he's able to provide, for his family, I'll be happy that she's with somebody that enjoys their job. And if he enjoys his job, he's going to come home with a good attitude and be happy. Right. Yeah. And, I would rather that than a person with a bunch of money that is not happy and frustrated with life and coming home with a bad attitude. Right. So like, I think I do want her. I wouldn't want her to deal with the stress I deal with. I would think it would get better because, my stress is, there is no backup plan for me. I'm the backup plan.
Right. Yeah.
And, now it's gotten to the point where I can't really, get any help from people that, or my family, because like now it's gotten to this stage where like it's more than what we're used to.
Yeah. Like, you've swam out very far. You know what I mean? And so like when you're going out there, everybody's ashore, everybody's like with you, but then you get successful and you're like, man, I'm really swimming. I'm really putting these strokes together and I'm really out there. And then you look back and you're like, oh man, the lifeguard, the lifeguard's no more. Like I'm out here in this world that is, way larger than anything or anywhere that I've come from. And it's like no fault to, the family and everything else. It's just like y'all haven't swum in these waters. It's like different out here. There's sharks, there's, you know what I mean? It's all these type of things that you're waiting and you're still trying to keep your head above water. And I know that because during the comedy thing, it's kind of the same thing. You know what I mean? Like once you start out, everyone's like very like supportive and whatnot. But then you start doing it, you start getting on more shows, you start getting exposed to, more things. And then their advice is not as helpful. It's like, oh, when you're on stage, you should do this, or you should say this. Like you don't even like realize like what I'm dealing with now or how it has
different groups of people that you need to like, it's funny you say that. Like Kevin Hart, when he first came out, it's completely different comedy.
For sure. 100%.
Comedy more for the broader range. Yeah. So it's funny because our community is like, he's not as funny anymore, but he has excelled a lot further than our community. And, they're like, he's not as funny, but he's still funny. So he's funny enough here, but he has to, appeal to this broader range of people in order to grow. Right. Yeah. So that's, it's tough. It's tough, man. Because, when you're trying to, it's hard because you got to please everybody, but then you also need to make sure that you're growing, so you can build for your family too, and our community can take that and some in a great way and some not so good, right?
I think I think the hardest thing is growth, people understanding what growth means. And sometimes you outgrow a certain group of people, and it doesn't mean that you love them or you're upset with them or whatever, but you just have grown beyond where you can fit in the same planter with them. You know what I mean? Like we started gardening or whatever, and sometimes those plants they can take off and they'll take over the whole plant and they crowd things out, and it's just you've overgrown that environment and you need to be planted and rooted in a different environment. And it's funny that you say something like Kevin Hart, because it's like really what he was doing in his original comedy, he was relating to you, right? And then as he grows and he's doing things, the things that he relates to are different than the things that you relate to. So now the things that he's talking about, you don't get because you don't relate anymore. It's like y'all were in the same place. He grew out of it into a different thing, and now you're not relating to him anymore. And that's the same thing with music, the same thing with with comedy, even the same thing in your personal life. You start growing into where you're going to be or where you're trying to go, and sometimes you will outgrow those people. And just to mention
the thing that
say that again.
It's hard, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is. And it's funny because just me doing what I'm doing, you know what I mean? I don't have the it's not like the monetary thing, because I understand that too, where you're just like people see you like, oh, I see you getting all this, help me out, and so I'd see that part of it. But it's also with the investment of time, you know what I mean? Like, this is why I'm super thankful that you were able to come on and talk to us, because I know how valuable time is, and you're out there doing things, trying to make things happen, trying to make StoreCash pop. By the way, StoreCash.app, go check it out. An amazing online service that you can use to I think it for shopping online every day, get cash back, all that type of stuff. It's great app. Go check it out. But with growing StoreCash, like, your time is very, very valuable. And then, with comedy, my time is like super valuable, because I got to go out on stage, I got to be here. And then if I'm going out and doing that, it's like I don't get as much time to spend with myself. So now I'm like trying to value that time a lot more. Like, I don't have time to hang out. Like hanging out is not something I want to do. I want to progress. I want to get better, and I want to hang out with people who are on that path, who are doing that thing. So if you're not doing that thing or willing to change what you're doing, then we're not going to hang out. And there's not no love. If there's a chance that we can and we meet and it works out, cool. But at the end of the day, we're on this grind, and we got to keep moving on this grind. If you want to come with me on that grind, cool. But otherwise, hey man, have fun, enjoy what you're doing, enjoy your hanging out.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah. Like, you have to. Man, it's tough though. It's tough because that's been one of the toughest things, I think, for me throughout this journey. Because you think back, like, when you were, back in the day, when you were like, hey, once we get to this point, we're gonna be able to do this and do that, and you're talking to this group of people. And then, when you're actually there, like, a lot of those people aren't around. And it's not that you don't want them around. It's because if they're around, you probably wouldn't be here. Yeah. Like, it's crazy. Like, because like you have to grow at this, super fast pace and completely overhaul who you used to be. And so you can fit in these spaces.
Yeah.
And it's a tough thing. And if people aren't growing with you, like, it's almost, you'll stick out like a sore thumb. You'll stick out like a sore thumb. Yeah. And if you bring this person that's sticking out like a sore thumb, they're not trying to move with you and move at that speed. Mm-hmm. And you have to go without them. And then it's a bad.
You know what? It's interesting because it's a choice that they're making, but they put that choice on you as if you're not slowing down for them or staying in the same place for them, but you're making a choice to move forward, to progress yourself, to learn the language of the spaces that you're in, you know what I mean? To learn how to operate in the spaces that you're in, to learn the new, technologies and methods and ways to make your business grow, to make StoreCash.app grow. I keep throwing it out there because it's, amazing. But you're learning how to do that, and then they're not, but they're like, wait, like they're making the choice not to, because you would be on the same path with them. They'd be in the same spaces with you if they're making the same choice to do the same things. And where I know this from is from comedy, because I went hard charging at comedy. I don't know if you've seen how much I've been doing like on social media, or how much I've tried to grow on social media. And it's, it's slow going, but I realize social media is like one of those things that it pops. It's like you have 200 followers and all of a sudden you have 200,000, like it's like it can pop at any moment, but it takes growing and understanding that. And when I first started comedy, I was starting out with, like a group of people, and then you just see as you're progressing and taking it, into taking it very seriously and trying so hard at it and going out and performing and working on your craft and getting better and taking every opportunity and traveling. And then you notice that the other people aren't doing that. And then all of a sudden they start following, it's through their choices, like maybe something happened or whatever, but you always kept, as I say, like Jalen Hurts, one of my quarterback, you keep the main thing, you know what I mean? And the main thing is I'm trying to move and do this. So if you're not, then I gotta keep going, and I love you, but you know what I mean? And that it happens the same with friends, it happens the same with family. And you see the story, it's old as time. Some people, they keep going, and then some people don't. And the people who keep going with you are the people who are with you. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, you grew with me. Cool. I want you to grow with me. But if you're not, then I gotta outgrow you. I gotta keep moving.
Yeah. Yep. It's a thing, man.
But check it out, because you spoke about a little bit about my pops, Glenn. You mentioned that earlier. My dad, who's also named Glenn, and you grew up with him a little bit. And I just wanted, was there some advice that he has imparted upon you, or some things that he talked to you about when you were growing up? Because it's just interesting talking to somebody who has you've had some of the same parenting experience with like my dad, and I'm just like, oh man, because we weren't living in the same house together getting that. So I'm just wondering, like, oh, what kind of advice was he giving you, and did it compare? Was it the same advice that he was imparting upon me?
Yeah, man. Whenever I think about Glenn, I just smile, man. Glenn, he was a huge he's amazing. He's an amazing man. I'm so thankful that I got a chance to know him, and that he's still, I was talking to him, I think last week, so thankful that he, whenever people take time out on me, I want to make sure that they feel like they've got, at least some sort of return, right? Like,
yeah.
Hey, you spent time with me, you spent valuable time with me. I want you to know that, I took that, and I try to run with it as much as possible. And I hope that he feels that way. He says he does, but I hope he feels that way, But, he came in when it was a real tough time. He had met our mom at, that the time he met our mother, our father had just, and this was finally the last time, but he had just took everything out of our house again. Like he was, he was always on, drugs, and he would always, take things out of the house to fund his drug addiction. And, he was, we had came home one day and everything was gone. And my mother was off a military trip. And that's actually when we started mowing lawns. When we started business, because we were trying to help mom. And on that trip, she had to go back, and she was back and forth on that trip for a couple of months. We were 12 then. And, towards the end of that trip is when she had met Glenn. Since then, I'm so thankful, because there's, for a person to come into your life and take time out, valuable time he could be spending with everyone else, right? Many other people, his friends, his family, right? And spend that time with you. It means a lot. It means a lot. So, And then also, you know, when we started T-Berries, we, you know, he had a townhome then, and we use his townhome.
Right.
So he had like, you know, Glenn doesn't care about furniture. So he had like one recliner and like a little TV and in the living room. And then, you know, he had his bed upstairs. He had this house, it was like 3 bedrooms, right?
Right.
And we were like, you know, we need a place to do all this stuff out of. And he's like, I guess you guys can use this. And we took over that house, right? We took it over. Like, he still had his chair and his TV, but there was boxes everywhere, like, all around, you know, and we would start dipping the chocolate covered strawberries on the top floor, and then we hired teams. So then we have the teams come down the second floor, and then they put all the labels on the package.
Oh, wow.
He had his, you know, TV, and you know, at the time he was like, okay, I can't watch TV down here anymore, so he had to go upstairs to his room. So he's a prisoner in his own home.
Yeah, right.
We transformed his whole, you know, and then these teams, and then we'll take it down to the last floor where, you know, they'll ship these packages off. And like, you know, he let us stay there, and he let us use this space for, I think it was over 2 years.
Yeah.
He didn't ask for anything, you know, and you know, it means a lot. It means a lot.
I mean, and when you think about first of all, once you have a kid, you understand about like stepdads and you know, like somebody who has all the freedom in the world to date and do whatever they want, and they're choosing, you know, to be with you as a child. Like, you don't like, I didn't, because I have a, you know, stepdad, you know, my mom and father, Glenn, who you're talking about, my dad, you know, split up, and then I have like a stepdad who enters. But of course, me and my dad are still on, you know, great terms. Love him, he loves me. There's no like animosity or weirdness or whatever. But having a stepdad come in, and then getting older, you realize like, oh man, like every time I was a jerk or like, it's like, yo, this dude could have just dipped. You know what I mean? Like, he did not have to deal with any of that. He, like, you know, like, just to like take a little snot-nosed little punk who don't know anything, and you know, they're doing whatever. You realize how much, you know, that person like cares for you, and it's something that you realize later in life when you have a child. And then, you know, the other thing is when you're doing business and you're doing trying to make something and grow, you realize how every little thing that you want or do costs something, or there's something that goes along with it. So for someone to open up a space and basically have like an empty canvas where you actually, you know, you got to figure out store design by doing that, by being like, okay, we have all this space, what do we do? Okay, this is going on top floor, and then it moves to here, and then you're figuring out flow and how to get it out, and really kind of cutting your teeth learning to do that. Like, where else could somebody else, you know what I mean, do that? Like, if you're just living in a house, you don't have an empty space that you could just make to your own design and figure things out. And then when you go into to get your own like actual physical space, you're like, oh, this is just like the townhouse. This is going to go here. This go here. This is how we maneuver it. But to open that up to you, it's like, damn, like that. You know, that's a lot. It's a huge benefit. It's just funny to me, like just thinking now as I was dating, I was like, damn. Like stepdads need more credit.
You know, like I didn't know, and I always was thankful for Glenn. So I try to make sure that I never said anything crazy, like you're not my dad and none of that crazy stuff. But like, man, as I'm growing up now, I'm like, yo, he could have left. I think that's why, you know, I think back and I kind of get emotional because I'm like, yo, he didn't have to take any time. Like, he had opportunities. He was, you know, nice, physical, he's fit man, you know, look nice guy, you know, like he didn't have to, you know, deal with us and, you know, all that. So like, and now, you know, getting older, you even see it even more, you know, so you start thinking like, man, you know, how lucky. You start seeing how lucky you are, you know, because there's a lot of people out there with nothing.
Yeah. And you know, I'll tell you from the outside looking in, I know for a fact, like it was never a thing like, oh man, I got to do this. He was always like very excited to like go with y'all, like during the fish fry and do the, you know, thing. He would be like telling me about it, and I'd be like, oh man, you know, like that's like really cool. But he was like, you know, really excited to help out and put those things together. So it was just really cool seeing y'all grow. And then we got to meet or whatever. And it was funny because I have a sister, you know what I mean? And then of course my half brother who I didn't get to grow up with. But when I was young, I always wanted like brothers or whatever. And when I met y'all, it was because y'all are a little bit younger. It's just like, oh, these are like the little brothers that, you know what I mean? Like I always, you know, thought I have. And, you know, we didn't get to spend a ton of time together, but we got the time that we did get to spend together was, you know, like amazing. Yeah, super appreciate it. But I did want you to talk a little bit about StoreCash a little bit and tell them, because I probably did not do a great job of explaining exactly what StoreCash is, but that is kind of the culmination of everything that we've been talking about, like having the berry store and the fish fries and everything, and even learning entrepreneurship at like a young age, things that you can impart on your child. How did StoreCash come about, and what is StoreCash?
Yeah. So, man, so you know, I was doing tea berries, and we had opened up about, I think it was 3 stores, and we started getting to a point where, you know, I always was a tech guy, right? I always loved tech, and I always wanted to work for these major tech companies. And I would look over in Silicon Valley, and I'm like, you know, we were doing good, you know, making good money, but I'm looking over there, and you know, these companies started when we did. Now they're billion-dollar companies. We're like, what the heck is going on over there? You know?
Wow. Yeah.
So that's when we sold the company, and I hopped in my car and came here because I wanted to figure it out and try to understand how to, like, you know, build a tech startup. Took a lot longer than a lot of people think. You know, and during that time, you know, I got, you know, opportunity, you know, I was working at Apple, and then I worked at Facebook, and then Google after that. And then while at Google, I was working at Google Shopping, and I got a chance to understand how retailers, you know, marketing and how they're willing to give money back to people to come into the store and things like that. And how to negotiate these contracts. So that's when, you know, I started thinking about this idea. Got some friends in Silicon Valley together, and we started StoreCash, and we got into Techstars. And the world is just crazy, man. Like, because when I was driving, when I was driving from Pennsylvania, you know, here, I always, you know, I was like, one place I want to stop in Denver, Colorado. I think it's an amazing place. And heck, if we don't want to go to California, we can then move to Denver, but I really want to check it out. And we even spent like a day or two there and spent time there before we drove to California.
Yeah.
And then, you know, when we start this business, there were 50 different, you know, Techstars kind of programs running year round. So it's 25 and then another 25 second half of the year. And we got in the Denver program. So I got a chance to be in Denver for 3 months.
Oh,
in
wow.
same places that I went. Like, I was like, I want a house around this mall. Literally, the place that we were working out of, I could see the mall from there. And it's just, I think that you actually, if you believe these things long enough, you know, it's the law of attraction. You can attract these things to you. And like, you know, I was in Denver, and what's crazy is 2019, for the pandemic, I didn't raise. I just had got out of Techstars, and I told my wife, I said, I know that we're in Silicon Valley, but I want to move to Los Angeles. And we literally came that January to move to Los Angeles. Or no, we came that January to check out homes in Los Angeles for my birthday. That's what I wanted to do, like look at home in Los Angeles for my birthday, because I said it's going to take me a couple of years to actually pull this thing off, because, you know, every home here is $1 million plus, right? So I came out here. I didn't have any. So I had Techstars, 120,000. Didn't have any more funding after that, right? So it was just crazy, because 2 months later, I get funding. And guess who? I get funded by 2 LA companies. So like, and then, I run off this money, and then, we come up to this point where it's 2021, and I'm like, okay, starting 2022, I really need to start looking for homes. And then, I come out here, and then I raise more funds from people in LA. So I feel like it's the law of attraction,
Yeah,
right?
keep growing, keep growing, keep growing.
Here, right? Like, and you know what's crazy too? When we came here, I in the back of us, I don't know if you see a bunch of trees, but I drove past this place and I said, "This place is beautiful. I would love to stay here." And I went to a parking lot, and I was like, "I want to stay in this area." The parking lot, literally, if I go on the top of my house, is right there.
Oh,
Right,
wow.
all in Los Angeles, right, and this was 2019. I had no funding, and I'm talking about I moved to LA. I didn't know who was going to fund me. It could have been a person in another country, it could have been anyone, and it was here, So like, but I digress. But yeah, anyway, I feel like a law of attraction has a lot to do with this, and we start this business. It's business try to help low income communities. We saw Acorn, and when they were talking about rounding up to the nearest, dollar, and we looked at 70% of America, are living paycheck to paycheck. There is no roundup, right?
Yeah.
How do we allow for these retailers to actually start building up these emergency savings and things like that? And then that's when, we thought of StoreCash and thought of how we could get these retailers to give us a kickback every time you go to them. And we've been able to get about 7 to 15% of some of your major stores, Lowe's, Home Depot, Chipotle, Five Guys, Jamba Juice, that's my big one. Target, Walmart, and you get cash back at a lot of these places. And now we have you pay with a QR code or a barcode on our platform, and that allows you to get an additional 2 to 3% because you don't go through the MasterCard or Visa fees. And this is a phenomenon that's happening in China, India, Thailand. They only pay with QR codes and barcodes over there. I think MasterCard and Visa is trying to keep a hold on the market here. So, in the future, as we kind of move into this future, it will be an alternate way to pay. I don't know if it's going to be the main way to pay, but it'll definitely be an alternate way to pay. And you'll be able to get a kickback every time you pay with a QR code and barcode at these stores. And we believe we'll be the Plaid, like the Plaid is for all the banks, right? We're going to Plaid for all the retailers, and we'll be able to provide this API to a lot of different fintech companies, and we're already starting on that, and we've partnered with a few. So it's working itself out, and it's doing well. So anybody that wants to download the app, you'll get massive cash back. I looked yesterday when I was pitching to some investors, and I got $313 back in 3 months.
Oh, so, wow.
Yeah, you can get a lot of money back. And this is like funds that you can use for, some people tell us they're using it for Christmas at the end of the year. Some people say they use it to pay off their cell phone bill and things like that. And that really makes me feel good because it's like we actually built something that people actually use. Is actually being beneficial in today's society, especially with the economy the way it is. So
yeah, and then you think about it being a parent, right? It's almost like the new coupon books. It's like your new coupon cutting, and it's a way to save money on the things that you're doing for your child that you're going to have to be spending money on. You're buying diapers or whatever. You bust this out, and it's just giving you like a little bit back on top, and every little bit counts. It's like back in the day, our moms and everything used to cut out coupons to save money, and this is kind of like a new version of that. It's not exactly the same, but it's like kind of a new version of how can I save? Where can I get the most cash back? And then you start going to retailers who are giving you better deals on your, cash back or whatever. So it's like a boon to them. StoreCash.app. You should all check it out. Everybody, go check out the StoreCash.app thing. It's down at the bottom of your screen. Check that out, man, and give them a little. I think y'all are on IG and Facebook. Give them a little subscribe. Check them out. I think it's going to take over because I think this is something that America is not used to, but I feel like things are going this way, and I think in the next 3 to 5 years it'll be like one of the main things that people are using in their wallets, because we're slowly starting to get to that point where a lot of the things are being digital.
Yeah, once everything is on your phone and you don't carry around a wallet, the next question is going to be, what do I use to get the most benefit, right? And if you're we get 11% back at Gap, 11.25% back at Express, right? You can't get that from a credit card. You can get maybe 2 to 3%, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you can't get that from a credit card. So I think that we will be that alternate way to pay, and they'll really be able to kind of help people push forward when it comes to saving money and kind of helping them in that way. So
listen, if y'all need some ad reads, holler at me. You know what I mean? It's very cheap advertising. We reach a few people, so holler at me. I'll definitely ad read y'all out, because I love what StoreCash is doing. I want to see more of that type of thing in the world. And if you could save 11% at Gap, you know what I mean? Like, you're what? That's unheard of. That's a lot. That's your taxes plus some. That you're saving if you're using StoreCash.app. So y'all should definitely use that. Check it out on our podcast. What we like to do is we like to ask the blerding question, and the blerding question is always, what do you like to nerd out about? So if somebody came up to you and you were just gonna like keep going ad nauseum or whatever, so excited, big smile on your face talking about it, what do you like to nerd out about? What's the thing that you nerd out about the most?
I think I have two right now. But so a couple of years ago, it was focused mainly on Apple products and how they're going to take over the world. But now it's focused more on Tesla.
Okay.
Tesla's going to take over the world. I know a lot of people hate Elon Musk, whatever, right? But I feel like what the things he's doing is going to really affect us in how we're going to operate in the future. And now being in tech and just understanding how difficult it is, it's amazing what he's been able to accomplish. And then now he's working on robots, right?
Yeah.
He was the one that told us that robots could also be very dangerous. So we need to make sure we have a shutoff switch, right? But like, he's also working on robots. So like, he even is working on a chip, like the things that he's been working on. I know I talked to my mother 5 or 6 years ago. And this was when he was worth 14 billion. And she said, what should I invest in? I said, Elon. I said, I wish he had his own. If you could invest in Elon, I was like, because everything he's working on is futuristic. And in the next, 20, 30 years, he's going to be the guy. Right. And since then, he's now moved to what, $200 billion? Something like that.
Probably on the way to a trillion. I think we're in the day and age where we're going to see trillionaires that are coming out of this thing. So I'm trying to get up there. I'm trying to stack, but definitely there's going to be trillionaires of people who are moving in that direction.
Yeah, I feel like he is going to be like Apple was this last decade or the last previous decades, like moving us forward when it comes to computers. And I think he's going to move us forward when it comes to AI. So I've been geeking out a lot on him and a lot on just the Tesla products.
I was talking to somebody else about this, and I feel like there's a misconception that people have. It's like, oh, he's doing Tesla, which is like a car company, or SpaceX, which is like space and I'm like, no, what he's doing is building AI companies, and using that tech to in them, you know what I mean? Like Tesla's AI for cars, and then SpaceX AI for getting out of space and figuring out. But that's a large part of what he's doing. Now the mechanical part of that is also an element, but Tesla, that's what it is. That's what it's going to be in. And you look around and there aren't a lot of other companies doing it. I mean, Amazon, everyone thinks it's like shopping and everything, but its biggest thing is also like the algorithm and the AI and how to reach and get to you. And that's kind of like the biggest thing, which we were talking to somebody else about AI recently, Don Womack, I believe, and And it's just like where is that going, and what is that going to mean? And we were talking to another person, Laura Leister Bench, and we were talking about how you're going to have these digital representations of people that are going to be out there, and what are they going to be using those for? You can use them for companionship. Also, if you've lost somebody, you could use them to talk to that person. Just think about that and what it means for society and what it means for the world to have these things running. And like Elon's saying, we should think about it. We should definitely have like an off switch to figure it out, but how we're going to interact with it. Last night, as a matter of fact, I saw the advanced screening for The Creator. I don't know if you've seen that movie that's coming out.
I haven't. No.
Yeah, it's coming out soon, but it's about AI and how AI kind of it grows, and it's all over the world, and basically the fight against that, and basically where AI stands in terms of how it interacts with humanity. And I feel like these are questions that we're going to have to answer in our lifetime.
Yeah, so so I got a bunch of things. I got excited about that conversation because the one thing I think what we try to do is we try to fight against technology, and we're never going to be able to stop technology. It's always going to move forward. We can fight against it as much as possible. Now, to make sure that we're responsible with technology is a different question.
Conversation, yeah.
Yeah, I think people focus on, we need to stop it. You're not going to be able to stop it, and it's always going to move forward. I just saw a video. It was Burger King, and it was 93, and they were talking about we're accepting credit cards now, and boy, you should.
Yeah, people were upset.
They were heated. They were like, why would I need a credit card to buy a burger? I don't understand. It's only $3.50. You can just take it out of your pocket. I don't get it, right?
It is so crazy to see where we've come from that. So crazy.
Credit cards, debit cards. And this is how we sound about technology now, right? Like AI is going to come. We need to embrace it and find ways to be responsible with it, but it's going to come whether we like it or not. I think that AI is, everyone's like, it's going to take all the jobs away. It's not going to, because there's people that needs to also operate with it. Yeah, it'll make our lives easier. It's kind of like cell phones. People were not happy about cell phones, right? But when they started using them, even the older people, even 50-year-old people now love cell phones because it makes their life easier, right? I don't think that AI and robots and things are going to take our jobs, but I do think that we are going to need to evolve as we move forward. Same way we need to evolve off of fossil fuels, right? And oil and things like that. And as we kind of evolve from these things, we will need to learn new skills. We've always need to learn new skills 5 and 10 years out, right? Everything changes and we need to learn new skills. But I think it's going to be more for the overall for better, more so than negative. And also with data too. I feel like there's a bad stigma on data. I've heard a lot of these things and I wasn't sure what it was until I started, this business. And now I'm understanding, and also worked at some of these tech companies, and data is not what they're making it out to be. When I was at Google, I had a lot of data at Google Shopping, right? But I needed maybe 15 people to get access to all these different departments in order for me to get access to actually build out the actual person. Still probably wouldn't have a photo of the person, but actually build out the actual person. I only get data for one subset of that user, right? Maybe what they shopped with, and I get a number, right? And then that same number now is a completely different department I have no access to, knows their zip code, right? And then there's the other department. So and we use that data so that now I'm not sending you ads, right, for woman products, right? Or things. And even with Facebook, marketing, when you look at Facebook marketing, I was like, Facebook must be doing something bad here. And then when I started marketing on Facebook, I have no access to anyone on Facebook. And Facebook is collecting this data so that small businesses can curate who they want to target, but they can't say, I want to target Daricus Releford, the black guy with this and this. I want to target black men that are in their 30s. And that's all we get, and we shoot it off. And then that, redirects. No one at Facebook. There's 15 different people at Facebook to where they can build out a person. One person at Facebook has all this data. And if they do, if I was Barack Obama, all day I'd be scared. But like when there's billions of people, like no one cares about you.
Well, I think the hardest thing though is because as humans we don't understand exponentiality, and in terms of processing the data, a human can only do so much, and it takes all these different departments or whatever. But AI, like with that exponential growth, it can start to process it way faster than we could experience. So what you're talking about, where you have all these different departments that would have to converge, like AI could do that in seconds eventually, maybe not now. And I think that is the scary part, where what Elon's talking about, where you have to like start putting in some guardrails and trying to understand how it's working so that it does not become a detriment to humanity. Because I think the thing that is most worrisome is if there's a small sect of people who are in control of all of that. If there's a large group of people and it's just everywhere, everything's swimming, then like you're talking about, it is going to be less harmful. But if there's like a small sect where it's like one person who's in control of this algorithm and like this whole thing, it's going to be really, really difficult. But then you think about it, it's like, how could that person control things? And I don't think it's the person. It's if the algorithm is all of a sudden using all these dependencies and then working on its own to come to its own conclusion and use that data to do certain things, which is the worry, or that is my worry. I don't know if other people thought about it.
Yeah. Well, the data now, AI data is terrifying. I'll say the data now is a lot more manual. AI data I mean, you've seen ChatGPT.
Yeah. And that's just, so the thing that scares me about that is that's what we see. And if they're showing us now that, I'm like, what is behind the cloud? Because they're not showing us the full like spectrum of what has been researched, what has been developed, what has been created. And if that's what they're showing us now, and how crazy powerful it is to parse data now, I'm like, what is we could already be there. We could already be living in the, what I mean? Like in the singularity or whatever, where it's like, it's already there. There's already androids walking among us that they've figured out how to create and make, it's like, what? How do we get there? I'm still trying to learn how to use my iPhone, and
like AI data is because you'll be able to take all that data, and really one robot will be able to know all of that data. And we're really pattern driven humans. Like, I've noticed that with my wife, and I'll be looking and she'll be like, oh, you're looking for this? I'm like, what? How do you know that? And she's like, because anytime you're doing this, you do this. I'm like, oh man, this is, so imagine what a robot, will be able to do that can, get that information even quicker and move through that information even quicker. So yes, definitely. And that's why I say be responsible. Like, we need to focus on the responsibility of it. But we're not. The thing is, I've noticed we won't be able to stop it. It's going to happen. But we definitely need to find out how we can be responsible with it, and how, shut off switches. What can we do? Like, what can we do to slow it either down or do this or that? And use the full capacity when needed. Like, I don't know how to do that, because man, AI is very difficult technology. Like, it's very, very difficult technology, because, it's a lot of ML, like learning, and And
their dependencies, they're dependencies that we don't even realize are working. And sometimes, a thing will happen and it works and the programmers don't realize why it worked. It's like, okay, that worked, but why? Like, I don't understand how it did this, or it's making decisions that you don't understand. And that's when it gets hairy and gets scary. But this is why I'm also happy that we got people like you in tech who are working, who are trying to figure that thing out, who have that in mind. And I feel like humanity is going to thrive with minds like yours in the room, trying to help figure it out or try to make things happen.
Well, thanks. I don't know how much I'll be able to help.
Well, I mean, but you're one voice in the void. You know what I mean? So as long as that one voice is in there, sometimes it's like I'll type things on the computer. So I'm like, all right, if the AI reaches in, hopefully it'll see there's one guy out there who's like, hey, love humans. Like I just put that in my text messages, like machines and humans, we love each other. Like just different things that I could say. So the AI is reading everything. It's like, maybe they're not so bad. You know what I mean? Like this one guy wrote a nice poem to me.
There was like, when I was at Google, there was, now it's public knowledge, but there was a secret project, and they were working, on robots, like grabbing. There's like these micro kitchens. They were working on the robots grabbing drinks out and giving it to employees, and it took them about 3-4 months to get that, and it didn't quite work just right. Like that's what it's. I think, and like you were saying, it's about another 5 years plus before we start getting real good stuff. But still, 5 years will come super fast. So,
like that.
I don't know, man.
Well, I mean, I feel like and that's the other thing about technology, teaching our kids to use technology, because they're going to be the ones who are going to have to use it. And if you think, it's probably just like our parents, getting a computer, getting a cell phone, and how they use it, and they're all kind of confused about like what to do with it. And we're just like, they're going to be like the same way with, AI, just like using it, whipping it around, integrating with it in ways that blow our minds. So getting them tech savvy when they're super little is going to be amazing. Last thing, let's do this last thing, because we talked about him for a little bit, but I feel like we should give a little shout out to my dad, Glenn. Just be like, thank you, Pops. Like you like, what I mean, held it down. Because I don't know if there's anything much more for us to say. I'm sure we could talk for hours and hours, but I feel like we've covered the gamut. We got into AI, man. We're talking about entrepreneurship, working and outgrowing friends and growing with friends, all that good stuff. But I think the last thing that we need to say is just a little thanks, Pops. Like, thank you, Pops. We really appreciate for everything you've done. And to my stepdad too. Thank you, AJ. Thank you, Step Pops, for taking care of us and really being great examples of black dads,
Yes. And thank you so much, Glenn. I wouldn't be where I am today if you didn't take time out on me. So I appreciate it. And can't wait till you come out to Cali. So, hopefully I can show you around, show my daughter and things. But
yeah, dude. Love you, Pops. Love you, Pops. Yeah, exactly. Man, that was dope, man. I really appreciate you coming on here, talking to us. Again, that's StoreCash.app. Go ahead and tell them where else they can find you, or anything else that you would like to promote or talk about on the podcast.
Yeah. Well, first order or first transaction that you do, give you $5. And you can check us out on we're an app-based business, so we're an Android, iOS. Just type in StoreCash, all one word, and we'll pop up. And happy store cashing, I guess.
Happy store cashing. Yeah, right, man. I was serious about that ad read, man. Holler at us. We definitely work on that and read at the top. As I always say when we end the show, there's nothing left to say but blur that out.